Hello, hello, hello. I am pleased to have Kerry Washington joining us for this next talk. He's the general manager for LiteWallet at the Litecoin Foundation, which he's been working on since 2017. He's going to walk us through MWEB for daily use, where MWEB it allows a measure of privacy into transactions. So looking forward to hearing how that works.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. By the way, if any of you think this is a talk about internet in Johannesburg in South Africa, that's the other room. This is MWEB for privacy. So I don't know how many of you were actually at David's talk. This is really good. This is a white paper that we did about the first MWEB mobile application. Right, just a little bit about me. Like she said, my name is Kerry Washington. I've been in the Litecoin Foundation for 7+ years. I've worked at a lot of startups, Apple, Mapbox, Ticketfly. I'm a retired U.S. Army signal officer, nerd squad. We make really good coffee. And I went to Santa Clara, which is in the heart of Silicon Valley. But my real passion is football or soccer. I put the icon so people know what that is. I'm in Germany. Yeah, football, kick the ball. Really love it. And part of the reason I live in England is because I can actually watch a lot of good football there. It's a silly reason, but I like it. So just a little breakdown of the team. Again, because LiteWallet started as kind of a real passion project from Loshan, it was actually called Loaf Wallet at the time, and he and I worked a little bit, and then another guy, and we were all kind of volunteering, but then we started getting more ratings, better, more users, and so it became kind of a beast. The first team that we really built was with Claudia and another guy. His name is I think Aaron, but that was a long time ago. But Claudia, Leon's a data science guy. He's actually critical to this project because he's, well, I'll talk a little bit more, but his work is critical for this project. Also, we have a guy, Micah, who actually joined us at Nashville. He lives in Tennessee, and he liked what we were doing. He's a DevOps guy, so it's kind of like, oh, cool. We have more people doing more of the kind of the back-end type of stuff. A guy in Egypt, his name's Hassan, really good senior iOS developer. So I'm as nice to him as I could because there are just not a lot of us rolling around. Patrick, those of you that went to Nashville, you met Patrick, works very closely with Claudia. Josie, we just were in Southeast Asia. Josie and the team went out there and promoted the whole idea of LiteWallet and what it was. And then, like I said, my Croatian team is Mateo. I pretty much talk to him almost every day about what we're going to post and what we're going to do. And his graphic designer, Mahela. Okay, so like I said, this is about the white paper, but the key thing is it's one thing to have data. It's another to have like a big-time quant like Leon to do this. So Leon's been on the team since 2021. He's had to drop in and out because he worked for UCLA, then he worked for a couple of hospitals. That's all he does is write white papers and crunch numbers. He actually started at the time of the invasion into Ukraine, and he's got Ukrainian heritage. So he was like, hey, I want to look at the analytics of people using LiteWallet in Ukraine. So he did what's called a Looker analytic database thing to just kind of look and see like what are people actually doing in Ukraine versus all the other venues or regions that we're going through. And it was really cool. And he also, and this is a different white paper entirely, but you guys can check this out. He did a Python library to actually do price forecasting. So I'll show you in a second. But for this project, he took all the data and did some what's called regression analysis to see, like, can we draw any conclusions from the MWEB, I guess the peg-ins, peg-outs, all the different parameters. And he's got a website there that you'll pop up there. So people that are interested, he's got a bunch of white papers there. Please check out Leon's stuff. He's fantastic. He's based out of the U.S. And this is his library. It's like I said, it's a Python library to do Litecoin forecasting. So since he's already looked at it, he asked us some really good questions. And I said, like, okay, you're not fabulously wealthy yet, so I don't know how much you're using it, but the fact of the matter is he did a lot of work on this. In fact, I think we're going to do another event with that white paper once we get a little bit more feedback. Also, he couldn't crunch any numbers without the only MWEB Block Explorer website. So Charlie was nice enough to reach out to those guys, and they gave me 2 years of MWEB data, which it was activated about 2 years ago, so we used that to crunch the numbers. It's amazing because usually folks are really kind of drag their feet. They've been able to answer all our questions and give us every little bit. In fact, we have an API key, so eventually we're going to actually work really closely with these guys. I feel like they're like a new sector of chain analytics because people are going to start looking at MWEB. It's better for us to have inside the foundation and people that really care about this to have a better understanding of what it can imply. Please visit their website. These 2 addresses are there, but you can take a snap of the 2 donation addresses that they have up there. Those guys are fantastic. Okay, so enough for the thank yous. Let's talk a little bit about the white paper and what does this actually mean. And just the first thing you got to realize is there's a long history of what we were talking about when Charlie and I were having, soup and talking about what we're going to do. He talked about confidential transactions. There was no name of MWEB yet, but I would like kind of bug him about it like constantly, and he's like, "Yeah, it's not ready yet." And it was very funny. So eventually, I think it was about a year ago. He was like, "Oh, yeah, MWEB was live in Litecoin Core." He's like, "Okay, are you ready?" I was like, no. Here's what was happening in 2017 and 2018. Litecoin shot straight up, and even though at the time it was LiteWallet, it was there in the store, but most of the work I spent from 17 to 2019 was fixing bugs, getting the ratings up and everything like that. Adding features was just not a thing that could be done quite easily. But fast forward to now, we've got hundreds of wallets, right? It's so hard to actually distinguish one wallet to the other. And so because our team is relatively small in terms of the engineering team, we think really hard and we think deeply about what we're actually going to roll out because we only have so many resources. And the other thing you got to realize is doing alpha testing for something where you really can't track the value is really risky, right? So what we decided to do was say, like, okay, let's go ahead and have a version where people can test it, but it's a subset so that we can actually work with those really technical people. And I was really lucky. So I had been checking GitHub, and I saw, I guess, David and Loshan were looking at L&D, and I saw this guy, Hector, was like kind of doing code reviews and everything like that. And I was like, oh, okay. And I basically just badgered him. And in fact, about a year ago, I kind of like reached out to him. I had about 3 different meetings with him, like 2 hours long, like saying, hey, this is what we need to do. We just need a version so we can put it out there so we can get some feedback, because it is MWEB. There's going to be a lot of kind of warts. And he did some great stuff on that. So thank you so much, Hector, for doing that. And also because, again, if something broke, there was not much we could do to fix it, right? So we did a really slow rollout, and we had like the Telegram channel where saying, hey, go check this out and see what's going on. And it's been relatively stable. We first did the launch in January for iOS, and then March in 2024. But here's the problem. You probably can't see that here. I'll go to the next slide. So this was, it's not a year ago, but about 9 months ago, we did a lot of kind of social media stuff to get people to download on Newborn. So we've done posts, we've done stuff in Telegram. It's been slow going to get people to try Newborn. Now we realize, like, okay, we have the branding of LiteWallet, but we separated on purpose because if people think, oh, this is MWEB and LiteWallet, the amount of people using it would be fantastic or not fantastic. In fact, these are installations that I just got recently. Those numbers are for Android. So Android is typically about 73%. So we're talking about 60,000 installations if you add the iOS stuff. I wanted to make sure that we could separate the two. But we only have about 100, maybe 200 installations of Newborn. It's very early. I'd much rather have, you know, a better end. Now, I will tell you one thing. It's good that we did it, and because we had the MWEB data, part of this, and all this stuff is inside the white paper. I noticed that kind of these ramp up. So January, you see iOS was launched, and Android was launched in March. So clearly these are Newborn users actually using MWEB, right? And it's great, it ramped up. I'm not sure if this is because this is core or in terms of June, but it's good. It's nice that we're actually affecting it. It was the first, like I said, MWEB mobile wallet. And, you know, it's working. But the fact of the matter is these data points, the N is too small. We can't draw too many conclusions because a lot of these MWEB blocks are pretty much empty, right? So I'm just showing this. No one can read this from here, but you can go to the white paper. These graphs basically say, like, okay, we have data here. We have peg-ins, peg-outs, MWEB amounts, the kind of basic stuff that you would see on the website. But you can't really draw too many conclusions about this. So the only thing I would say, and if you look across this, it's either a 0 or 1, which basically means, like, yeah, okay, there's no correlation meaningful, you know, that you can say here. So I hate to tell you folks that, like, we can't really say that there is some meaningful thing going on with MWEB yet because there's just not enough users. I mean, it's just that simple. So the first thing I would love for folks to do is take a look at the white paper itself and see what I mean by that. You can look at the data. You can see all the, I guess the numbers are there, but it's like, okay, so what do we do with that, right? And the thing I say with stuff like this where you don't really have a good signal is just say, like, okay, just do it again, right? We are going to launch MWEB for LiteWallet. And so we have this as a starting point to say, oh, okay, back then this is what it was. And moving forward, we can say, okay, we've definitely grown. I would say these, I guess, conclusions are kind of meaningful in that, like, well, we know this. Number of transactions have a strong positive correlation with block height. Yeah, we know that because we get the posts every month where we say LiteWallet or Litecoin is the most popular coin to use. There is moderate growth, so people are using it, right? But again, most of that is, I think Hector is doing other integrations with, like, other wallets, so that's helping a lot. But in terms of our sector, what we're looking at is like, okay, I just looked at that data there, and again, my starting point is really, the numbers are really in the noise floor. But it is relatively stable, right? It's getting higher and higher, as you saw in the other graph. So like I said, in the conclusion, we don't really have a lot of resources to analyze MWEB data. We just have the MWEB Explorer right now. And this is a 2-year-old activate feature, so I'm not going to say it's one thing or the other. I just say that we can use this framework to say do the same thing in a year, right? That's the most important thing. Don't forget that we've done this. We already have the data. We already have the numbers. So let's compare them in a year or so. And of course, I encourage people to take a look at what it's going to look like in the future. Oh, you guys can't hear this. Oh well.
Make sound effects for us.
Right, so this is Profico doing their job of working out the UI, and we spent actually a lot of time having a version of legacy mode versus MWEB mode, and seeing how would the UI look like, how it would perform. So that's our starting point for the UI, but the reality is we still have a lot of work to do. So I encourage everyone to please download Newborn, check it out. Everyone's got phones right now. No pressure, no pressure. But yes, please check it out. We've had people that say like, oh, I don't want to pay for anything. So okay, so you can use Newborn. There's no service fees. But it really helps us. If there's anything that's going to blow up, we'd like it to be where we have more than 10% of our users telling us what's going on, so we can actually fix it. And here's a roadmap for I guess LiteWallet and moving MWEB in there. So right now, what we're doing is saying, we have the legacy library that does the wallet management. It's called LiteWallet Core, actually. We're going to ship LND, which has all the MWEB functionality alongside, so it goes into the binary. So it's kind of dormant in that sense. But then there's phase 2 is actually really critical. That means like people that already have transactions that have been using it for a long time. When we want them to migrate to LND, we need to make sure that we don't lose their keys or their Litecoin or anything like that. So we need to put a process inside those. This is before even MWEB even goes in, right? Then using the MWEB Explorer API that I talked about earlier, we want people that are ready to use MWEB or actually to go and see what the chain is behaving, how it's looking like. And then we have the switch, right, which is kind of the video that you guys just saw. And then finally, phase 5 is the kind of, settings, that kind of stuff that we're going to do. And here's a time frame right now. We're working on phase 1. Again, hopefully people won't see that much about that. And when you'll see stuff, it'll be like mid to late October. Because we're going to ask you, like, hey, you already have your keys. We need you to migrate to this new thing and double check it, all that good stuff. And when that's good, we'll start looking and saying, like, oh, okay, people are liking it. They're moving over to it. Because in the mobile space, we don't really have control over when people upgrade, right? So we just have to look and see, like, okay, how many people are like stragglers, right? And when it looks like they're actually moving because it's better. By the way, with LND, the sync time is much lower. So that's a reason why we think people are going to do that. But then finally, phase 3, 4, and 5 is like I talked earlier. Cool. That's all I have. I don't know if you guys have any questions, but any questions or no technical stuff? Yes.
No, we've got time.
Yes.
A second.
Yes.
Sorry, so just one simple question, I guess, based off of the current look and feel of LiteWallet, which I use as well. When someone's wanting to utilize the MWEB aspect of it, they're able to jump back and forth between the two?
That's a good question, yeah.
Or is it something where there's some other process they have to do internally within the app, or is it fairly simple?
No, so if they have their 12 seed words, right, and they want to use MWEB right now, they can actually restore the wallet on Newborn. So it works even in Newborn. So those folks that download and check it out, they can actually look at it. I would say one of the big critical issues in MWEB is if you have that, right now the library doesn't add all the transactions on the interface. They're still there. You just can't see them because they're MWEB transactions. But you can definitely restore the wallet on newborn, which is, if you want to do that, it's easy to do. I do this too, and I don't know why people don't do this, but because I'm doing testing across multiple different devices, I'll have copies of the same wallet on different devices, right? Just to see what the behavior is, right? So that's something you can quite easily do. Yeah.
Other questions?
Nope.
No? Okay. We
Awesome.
have a Litecoin panel coming up.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.